Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thank you for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. That is still my email. It's still in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. So reach out to me for pricing. If you love this watch, I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. Today we discuss a model originally launched back in 2015, a 28-piece limited edition in rose gold, really red gold. This is the Arnold Son TBTE. It is the True Beat Seconds Tourbillon, a timepiece that packs the quality in details that you might miss on first pass. Of course, Arnold Son is the upscale luxury brand owned by the manufacturer lug-to-lug out of La Chaux-de-Fonds. Their stability for an independent making only about 700 to 800 watches a year is superb because Citizen Watch, the monolith out of Japan, backs them with their full faith and credit. So the best of both worlds, low-volume independent watchmaking in Switzerland, big international group money to keep it all solvent and assure parts and service in perpetuity. And the watches are aggressively different and innovative. This watch is large, but it wears small. At 44 millimeters in diameter, it's only 12.4 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 50.6 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, Arnold & Son's unique teardrop lug profiles generally separate the form of the lugs from the body of the case so that it wears almost like a round watch on the wrist. You can see that the edges of the case are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. And down the barrel, while it is a wide watch from lug to lug, you could still wear this watch on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters in circumference. I've got a bit of clearance at 16. You could go down one size. And it is super flat, being under 12.5 millimeters thick with a domed and sloped case like it will slide easily underneath the dress cuff. This watch declares itself and it makes an impact, not with brand appeal, but with sex appeal. Taking a quick look at the strap, you can see it's beefy, big rectangular scale alligator leather, and large scale symmetrical rectangular scale. That's the most expensive cut of the gator, and you can see here in profusion. Matte finish, dark brown. There's a little bit of bolstering or stuffing to give it volume. We've got a monotone stitch, a folded edge. On the bottom, we have an Arnold & Son factory strap in brand new condition, no crimping, no gouging, and a simple but elegant Arnold & Son polished and media blasted pin buckle. Now, the watch has a lovely double finish on the lug profiles. You see how they have lugs that are alternately satinated and polished, and how there is a raised section stepped up from the rest of the lug that is satinated. That is a difficult thing to do, and in fact, we're going to get a lot closer here. Maybe I'm just going to use the manual method of bringing it physically close to the lens. You could see the sharp break between the satin and the polish, and also the sharp break between the case and the lug, and that lug is welded on by hand. Case and lug fabricated separately, welded together with hand craftsmanship to remove the gathered evidence of the welded metal and leave only a super sharp razor-like break between the two surfaces. You can't do that with machining, you can't do that with stamping. This is old school, slow hand welding and finishing. Polished, rounded case flanks, a little bit of a flange giving way to a domed bezel. The Arnold & Son crown, media blasted and polished. And then the dial, which is one and the same as the movement. Now, this movement is the Arnold & Son 8503 manual wind, 3 days of power reserve, deadbeat second with a 1-minute tourbillon. It has a beat rate of 3 hertz or 6 beats per second, and a nickel anthracite coating on its base plate, which you can see has been cut on a rose lathe with a spectacular guilloche, front and rear. There's a lovely little anchor-based secondary escapement for the deadbeat that sits on a bridge that's both satinated and polished and skeletonized internally, inspired by the Celtic cross. This watch is full of surprises and refinements. You can see we have extraordinary half-satinated broadsword hands that come to a syringe tip, and that half satination allows them to stand out better against the dial base for higher contrast. You can see that right there. You can see the deadbeat second system, which is an ode to the art of chronometry. Arnold & Son, a very old name, harking back to the British watchmaking master of the same name. Not necessarily historic homage watches, though there are nods and winks to the English heritage and chronometer speciality of that English predecessor. These are very much Swiss watches, but with a nod to where horology has been internationally. Now, taking a quick look, my favorite detail is the use of a wolf's tooth profile on the ratchet wheel atop the barrel. That is also a nod to the way things were done in the pocket watch era, including the era of John Arnold. And so we have wolf's teeth on the ratchet wheel designed to mesh super soft and smooth with the intermediate wheel that winds the barrel, and it feels as good as it looks. You could see that there's a combination of an intermediate wheel and a winding pinion. You could see that counter-threaded screw holding the intermediate wheel on. That means it threads backward. That's what that triple slot means. Taking a look at the bridges, you can see they have a combination of skeletonization. You can see black polish on the half bridge for the tourbillon, beveling, mirrored beveling by hand on the edge. There's satination as well as media blasting on the bridge that contains the winding assembly as well as the motion works. And you can see that the motion works at center, which drives the wheels, it has internally beveled wheels. The wheels that turn the hour hand, and then below that there's a canyon pinion that bears the minute hand. And you can see these wheels have internal beveling, an extraordinary refinement that you will not find even on a large number of Geneva Hallmark watches. Arnold Son gives you that. Look at the dishing inside the chaton that contain the pivot jewels for the tourbillon and the barrel arbor. Chaton-based pivots, another nod to the pocket watch era. Look at the fully polished steel cage for the tourbillon. The fact that the beveling comes to a point and the rounded edges of these tiny steel structures. This is world-class physical finish, as good as you'll find anywhere. This is really surpassing stuff. And again, it is a 3 Hz beat rate for an aesthetically pleasing, slower operation. We have an open barrel that shows you the coiling of the mainspring, which acts as a sort of informal power reserve indicator. And you can see the artful detailing in satin, mirror beveling, and media blast of these bridges. Also note that the screws that you see feature chamfered slots and chamfered circumference with black polished heads. Everything the best that you will find. Now, this watch originally cost $162,000, and your purchase price for this is going to be, well, I'll let you guess, but lop off 6 figures, and you're probably in the ballpark. The value is outstanding. You can see even little things like the finishing of the anchor, which counterweights the secondary escapement. Look at the satination. Look at the points that are created by the convergence of bevels and the size of these tiny interior bevels. And hard to do that in the best of circumstances, but on these tiny structures, a lot of companies wouldn't even bother. Once again, you can see the internal beveling of the wheels, the chaton underpinning the bottom of the tourbillon carriage, the little hairspring that operates the deadbeat seconds mechanism. And of course, it is a dress watch, so 30 meters water resistant. It's not something you'd want to take swimming, but this is a durable everyday watch. To the office, to the club, recreationally, you're fine. Wear this without concern. It's not fragile the way some flaky independent brand watches are, or the way vintage watches can be. This is a timepiece for the real world, and that's part of the benefit of getting an Arnold & Son. If you love this watch, email me. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.